All right, good evening, Albert's List, and welcome to our Saturday night resume review. Um, it is Saturday night, May 2nd. I hope you are all doing safe out there, and I hope that you're all doing well. Um, we are into what I think is our third month of lockdown here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it is a crazy time indeed. The lockdown has been extended to the end of May, and we're continuing to see where exactly that will go. All right, so Saturday Night Resume Review is pretty simple. I put some resumes on screen, and we go through some of these resumes and we critique them for what they're worth, and I offer some feedback that I think will help these resumes get noticed. All right, and so also for the sake of these individuals' privacies, these resumes have been blacked out on their contact information and LinkedIn, um, so that privacy can be maintained. After this one, we've been doing this really straight for the last month. I'm going to be taking a couple of weeks off to take a break so that I can get my Saturday nights back. And so if you're interested in getting your resume on this, the next one that I will be doing this for will be May 23rd at 7 p.m. So join us then, and we'll go ahead and have another one of these, and you'll hear some more. So tonight we have 4 resumes, all of different seniority levels and different career paths. And so you may find some of these relevant for what you're trying to do. You may find these to be pertinent for where you might be going next too. Um, the rules of this resume review are pretty simple. If you like what you see, say it. If you think that there is feedback that you'd like to give in addition to my feedback, because I'm not going to catch everything, please do so. And if you want to also cheer people on, do that as well. It is a lot of courage for people to come on screen here and do their resume reviews, and also as well as their mock interviews, and it's some pretty tough stuff. So um, I'm going to start with the 2 Word documents that I have first, and then I'm going to move into the PDF documents that I have. So if you are indeed watching, I have gotten your resumes, Josh, Janet, Kaya, and I believe there's one more person. Please stay on, please watch, and let me know what your thoughts are. So the first one that I have here is Paula Daggett. Paula is a very cool Albert's List member. I have not met her yet, but I have seen her very active within our community, and she's somebody who's, in my eyes, comes to the table with her homework done and homework ready. And so it is an honor to receive her resume tonight. And so she's a recent graduate, Bachelor's of Arts in Communications with a minor in Spanish from San Jose State, gotten just last year. So happy 1 year professional anniversary if you're out there in the working world right now. Relevant coursework, relevant experience, activities, and skills. So this is a pretty typical new graduate resume. We're looking at someone here who is going into the real world for the very first time and needs to find a way to be able to position herself as that working professional that a company should trust as they get into the workforce. And so you've heard me on previous resume calls that resumes need to tell a story, and this is honestly no different, right? So as a recent graduate, your education definitely goes up on top. And I'm going to actually go ahead and turn on track changes for review here so you can get an idea of what I'm looking for. She has her name, her contact information up here. It takes 3 lines. Ideally, it should take only 2 lines, but 3 is going to be fine. I would say that in between here, she needs to add something around career aspirations, highlights, / intentions. And the reason I put this here is because every single resume that comes out, of a new graduate's resume is going to showcase almost the same thing, right? College graduate. Hi, Diana. College graduate. You want to get your first job, and how do you stand out by doing that? And so all of these things here should be able to say something like graduate in communications studies with a minor in Spanish. And honestly, right, if I'm thinking on the fly here, it can actually be something better, something along the lines of multilingual marketing and communications professional seeking international environments to help launch new products, support existing customers, and drive business development, right? And so why is that important? That's important because it really stipulates the type of goal that Paula wants as she moves forward. Now, I don't know if this is her actual goal, but if it is her goal, that's something that she can write down. And so you should have a couple of bullet points around this, right? So in addition to this, you could say something along the lines of on-campus leader and responsible for several clubs consisting of XYZ number of members. And then you could say grew club membership X% and showcased events bringing in over 200 plus people, right? So that shows that not only does she have a goal in mind of what she wants to do, but it also showcases what it is that she would like to do going forward. Hi, Alex. And so a couple more bullets here. You may insert other type of success story here. Hey, Ali, how's it going? I think I have your resume as well here as a part of what I downloaded tonight. Let me take a quick look. I want to make sure I have that so that I have it in there. And it looks like I don't. So let me look for that again in the midst of this so that you can have your resume figured out here. Okay, so I do see it here, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and download it, and I have it there. So Ali, your resume is in the queue. I'm starting with the Word resumes first, and I will be going into the PDF resumes right after. All right, so going back to this, having three bullet points, one on your goals, and then two on your successes is an ideal way to start, especially if you're a new graduate, because it allows employers to understand what you're trying to do. With the equal, I would say, weight placed on new graduates who aren't in engineering or accounting and finance, you have to find a way to stand out, and being able to communicate your goals will help you do just that. So she's a new graduate. Next section, ideally, is her education. That's great. I'd say get rid of relevant coursework because that's not as important as now that you've graduated and you've gone out of school. So I would get rid of that. If you find it important to mention a course that you took in your first interview and how it may apply to the work that you want to do, that is a reasonable first step that you can definitely take. All right, so let's go into the relevant experience piece. So it looks like to me a lot of her experience is definitely going to be something that she did when she was at school. And the first thing I want to also call out here is that resumes need to be in chronological order. So ideally, this role would go down below her volunteer role because it's still something she's doing to the present. And then it would also go below this role where she's at Kids Love Soccer, since that ended in March of 2020 and this ended in May of 2019. What also needs to go in between the education and the relevant experience section is a skill section. So obviously I actually see that right down here. So I would actually go ahead and put this down here and really mark it up this way. And so when it comes to the skill section, first and foremost, you need to be able to categorize those. So one could be foreign languages. The next could be productivity tools. And the final one could be HR tools. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of leadership team building since there's not really skills around that. And as Paula builds her career set and her skill set, she should definitely go ahead and add to this, since obviously she's got a lot of work that she's done here on down. So going into the relevant experience piece, I noticed that she uses her verbs really well. Managed, presented, recruited, inputted, directed, coached, right? And so these are good action verbs to begin with. At the end of the day, I also believe that it's important for her to be able to really show me what the impact and the relevance of what she did was. And so generally, I like my relevant experience bullet points to be between 3 to 5 bullets. If you go a little bit over, it's good. But since this role also ended over a year ago now, as of last year, I would actually have fewer bullets for it. Going over again, right? This is not in chronological order. So ideally this job, if we were to straight up copy and paste it, would go up here at the top. So I'm gonna just go ahead and do this right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. And then I'm gonna put her regional manager job that she had right here as well, because that will make it more, chronological. So here we are. And so some of you may be looking at this right now and noticing that Paula's resume is actually going on into the second page. And it's actually okay that it's going on the second page. I know that back in, well, at least when I graduated 10 years ago, when you have a resume, it was supposed to be one page because people didn't want multiple pages thinking that you did a lot of work. And so now that resumes are, for the most part, submitted digitally, having a 2-page resume is not going to hurt. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the skill section down here. And so under activities, since she's also graduated now, it would be important for her to likely get rid of the stuff that she's done while she was at school. If she's still involved in it as like an external advisor, as a coach, because she now is in the professional world, this may be one way to just keep it there. But since she has been a volunteer for the NBIA Disorders Association since March of 2010, I'm going to go ahead and keep it on there. And so what kind of story does this resume tell now? It tells you her name, her contact information, and then it goes into sharing her career aspirations and how and why and where she plans to be, especially since she's a recent graduate. Then it tells me, okay, what's she capable of doing and what are the elements of this job that show me that she has been able to accomplish this in the past, right? And so she uses her verbs, she has bullet points to back up what she's done, and she's able to explain in this resume where she would want to go next. Now, I wrote multilingual marketing and communications professional. I don't know whether that's actually what she wants to do. It could be something else, but whatever that something else is, it needs to show up in the early pieces of the resume so that someone will know what they're going to be looking for, especially as resumes at a younger age and a younger experience level need to be specifically and explicitly targeted. So that's pretty much it there. And so thank you, Paula, for sending in your resume. Do any of you who are watching currently have any thoughts that you'd like to share around what this resume is signifying? I'd love to hear it. All right, so without any comments, I'm gonna go ahead and move after I take a sip of water here to the next resume. This is from Jeanette Torres. Jeanette explained to me in her email that she is looking to go from a paralegal type of position into a project manager position. Jeanette, are you currently here online? Let me know. Feel free to follow along with me and explain as you let me know where you may be. Thank you, Yesenia. I appreciate it. And hi, Kaya. I didn't want to ignore you either. Your resume is in queue tonight. It is one of the PDFs that I am reviewing, and so we'll be going through it shortly. All right, so Jeanette's resume is a unique one on first look because a lot of it starts with her experience from a functional perspective, project management, customer service, administration, Marcom, and then goes into her professional development, and then goes into her community involvement, and then goes into her employment history. And so I nearly need to go to the bottom of the second page to see what it is that she's actually done in her previous work. And then she tells me her education and her foreign languages, all of which are great. So again, if someone were to look at this resume for the very first time, it is not immediately clear what exactly this person is looking to do. I see a mishmash of skills that suggest work experience in these 4 areas, but I don't quite exactly know why she's good at that. I have to kind of look, right, in terms of project management, customer service, administration, marketing, and communications. And it's also not immediately clear if I take a look at this resume for 6 seconds, what types of skills that she might have. However, if I look through this resume and I dice through it really quickly, I can see, right, that she's got highlights here. She was able to supervise teams of 10 contractors, so we're gonna go ahead and put that in yellow. Reduces case costs of up to 15 to 40 grand per case, and meeting all budget allocations from 15,000 to $4 million. She successfully trained all 8 office employees, implemented a scalable client system for a personal injury law firm with 200 cases in two office locations. And let's see, what else? Administration, he's temporarily managed 400 workers' compensation cases simultaneously, right? This is amazing. And she's decreased staffing costs 2 to 6 grand monthly for at least 3 months. And so this is actually a pretty good start. And then here she also tells me that she's uploaded over 100 Bay Area Latinx events on a weekly basis for a local company when it comes to events. She is able to implement creative campaigns and able to meet a maximum sales quota of 3 to 6 grand, right? And so these are all highlights here that I've had to take the last maybe 3 minutes here to actually scroll down and look. And it makes it tremendously difficult because while I have 3 minutes sitting here online right now on Facebook Live, your average hiring manager has 30 seconds. And where are they going to spend their 30 seconds? They're going to spend it up here in the top left-hand corner. And even if you're transitioning from one career to another, it is important for you to be able to still tell that story, that you are transitioning into that career and that you are looking to looking to make a mark no matter where you are. There are transferable skills in every single area. So Janet, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to go ahead and slice and dice up your resume a little bit here. So first, I want to actually talk about your career highlights. Next, I want to talk about your technical skills. And then finally, I want to hop into your work experience as a matter of the actual work experience that you've done, employment history, because this is what tells the story and what will tell the story. I think your community, actually, while I'm here, well, the community involvement stuff is actually really great. It tells me that you're very much involved in the community, and that you should definitely should also put some of this out here as well, because it shows that perhaps you're also a really great fit for a mission-driven organization. And then your education, this part is actually fine. It shows that you've actually, which is pretty cool, you also have a You also have an international background, which is really cool. All right, so what would I put in your in your career highlights section? Well, you've already given me a really good sense of who you are and what you're capable of doing. And so I would actually start with the goals that you're intending to put out there. So for example, proven and successful project manager with experience implementing CRM solutions, which is what you actually did down here, I believe. Oh no, which is what you did here, actually. Um, 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 through effective cost savings and efficiency measures, right? And I would say average cost savings include are between 15 to 40K per case, and settlements and legal settlements ranging between 15K to $4 million. So that would be the first piece that I would put down here. And as a person looking at this resume, I would say, wow, this person knows how to save money for me. And if I hire her, she may not come in and make me money right away, but I know that she's going to preserve the business for me. And that may very well take my business to the very next level. And then I would say, let's see, skilled multitasker, capable of managing both individuals and projects, past supervision of up to 10 subcontractors, and legal cases, and 400 plus legal cases. Helping decrease, let's see, staffing costs 2 to 6K, right? So now I'm looking at this resume and I'm seeing more like, okay, here's what is going to show me that she is really good at what she does, and she's also able to come in and make that immediate impact. And you've already stated here that you're that successful project manager, right? So this is a clear case of fake it till you make it. And you want to be able to really show that you can fake it till you make it, because even though you may not be that project manager role today, there are transferable skills in your legal career that show me that you have that project management in the past. I also say that I missed this, that I just noticed now, that you tracked student and staff personnel at UC Berkeley to monitor payroll and employment duties of 16 departments and their subdivisions. So this is actually another highlight point too. So I don't know where you want to be a project manager at. If you want to be in tech, there's definitely applications there. If you want to go back into higher ed, there's something there as well. If you want to be a legal project manager outside of being a paralegal, there's definitely stuff there as well. And then customer service, I think that this definitely showcases to me that you're capable of doing a lot of work. And I guess I really have to say this too. I want to shout out the work that you're doing for the Latino community. My girlfriend is a Latina, and I know she's on this call, and I know she absolutely loves the causes that are going on here. And I would absolutely tell her that she should get in touch with you, because you are doing a lot of great impact work. And my girlfriend's in the nonprofit space too. So I know it's funny I'm doing networking here over a live video, but I feel like if I didn't say something, then then there might be that misconnection. And I think you should also connect with Diana Estrada as well, because she's also into that impact too. And so if the three of you should get together on a phone call after this, I would highly recommend the three of you do it. All right, so Back to customer service. I would say what's missing here is telling me what type of customer service impact you're able to drive, right? So you're definitely able to, you're definitely showing me that you're able to do a lot of the admin work behind it, but I want to know how you measure your customer service at the end of the day. Are we looking at an improved customer satisfaction score? Are we looking at user retention or customer retention? Are we looking at the number of cases that are open over time that signify that a customer is or isn't satisfied? Those are all things that you should look at as you figure this aspect out of your career. All right, so finally, you have a marketing and communications piece. The marketing communications piece is good too. If you want to be a marketing project manager, I would also say that you need to showcase a lot more of the data that you're able to put out there. So for example, you have research and Spearhead, business to consumer, multicultural marketing campaigns for client recruitment in the legal field via television commercials, billboards, magazines, and social media, resulting in greater client numbers. So I actually like what you have here in the beginning in the first place, but what's missing here at all is your numbers. How many campaigns did you research and spearhead? And do you know how many TV channels you were able to get on? Do you know how much your billboards were in terms of being able to really drive that attention? How many newspapers were you in? How many magazines were you in? And ultimately social media, right? So was social media able to drive new leads? Were you able to look at the vanity metrics, visits, views, et cetera, et cetera? Yeah. Okay, so Fiona actually asks a really key question. How do you talk about results if your company isn't tracking it? That's actually, I think, the biggest thing, right? In 2020, your company absolutely needs to be tracking it. So even if you're an individual contributor, you need to be on the butt of whoever manages you and says, look, I need to track these pieces of data, and you need to find your way into that data, right? So social media has social media data tracking can be very granular, especially given the platforms that you are on. And so maybe your third piece here is proficient digital marketer and customer service wizard. And then like I would say something next about this should be drive leads through various mediums, resulting in XYZ views, ABC impressions, and CDE leads generated, right? That's going to take you to the next level because it's going to show to the people who are working with you that you are results oriented. And look, you may not necessarily be that results oriented person that blows the social media metrics out of the water, but it's clear to me that you're able to reduce costs by up to 15 to 40 grand per case and have settlements and be able to meet budget allocations ranging from 15 grand to $4 million. So you're saving money for the lawyer, or rather you're reducing money for clients, and you're getting them a ton of money. And so anybody who even looks at this as a customer should be like, wow, if I hire this law firm that contains Janet, not only am I going to be able to keep everyone's costs low, but they're going to go home a lot richer and in a lot better place than me, because she has the skills and capabilities to project management, and she's focused and she's detail oriented and all of this stuff. And so once you're able to tell that story at the very top, that's going to help you take yourself to the very next level, bar none. All right, so I focused a little bit on the career highlights, and so I want to actually go to the next piece, which is your technical skills. Because now that you've told us what you do and what you bring to the table, we want to know what are the tools of the trade that you help make it happen with, right? So there are going to be marketing tools here. There's going to be project management tools here. There's going to be productivity tools here. There's going to be your foreign language knowledge and all of those kinds of things. And so now that you're able to tell that story, now you come out into the work experience and you should expand on what you did at legal assistant, SEO intern, administrative assistant, head box office cashier. And actually, because you were an intern a long time ago, all of these things can actually go ahead and go away because you're no longer a student. You've done all of these amazing things up here, and nobody cares what you did as an intern anymore, right? So this is the piece that that's going to stand out a lot for you as you get out into the world over there. And don't worry that your previous role was a legal assistant or an SEO intern or an administrative assistant. You did the work. You are a project manager. And so as you go out there, you need to position yourself as that project manager in your career highlights, as that skilled multitasker, and as somebody who's proficient at digital marketing and customer service. And of course, you know, I mean, I may not necessarily recommend you use the word wizard to describe yourself, but I think you get the idea of what I'm trying to say, because in your original resume, you're doing what a lot of people on Albert's List do, and it's selling yourself short. And you need to shine. This is your time to shine, and this is your time to look amazing out there, because every single person going into that interview and applying for that same job isn't going to be holding back either, and neither should you. So this is the second piece of that. And so I would actually advocate getting rid of all of these and integrating these into these job and employment history pieces and go from there. Yeah. So any questions, any thoughts so far? I'm glad you're all having a lot of fun. This is one of the more active job reviews that we've had. And so it goes out to everybody, right? A lot of us here are in Silicon Valley. We work in tech, or we work adjacently to tech. And the biggest problem that I see week after week in reviewing these resumes so far is that people continuously sell themselves short. And believe me, the person who's walking off the plane who wants to move to the Bay Area right now to take a job that you want to apply for is not selling themselves short. They know that they're ready for Silicon Valley. They know that the Bay Area is the #1 place to be on this planet because there's nothing but smart people here. And if they're not afraid to paint themselves as smart, neither should you, right? So put that into your mind as you write your resume, as you apply to jobs, and as you consider your job search strategy as things go on, right? Okay, cool. So professional development should technically go under your education piece because these are things that you've done as you've done continuation of your education. So ideally, this stuff should actually go right here. And so actually, in addition to that, because you have the understanding and skills of well, let me see here, of Scrum mastery, you technically should put that somewhere around here as well, where you know, proven and successful project manager with experience and agile Scrum knowledge, right? This is actually going to put you way up there up top, because a lot of companies that have product management roles open are going to want to look for that too. So you're going to want to put that up top so that people can see that immediately. And so your education piece should actually still be pretty brief as it goes. Oh, Fiona. Yeah, Fiona, stop selling yourself short if you're selling yourself short. Okay, so and then the piece on City College of San Francisco, you can actually save a couple of lines here. So people don't necessarily need to know that you've done this detailed stuff. All they need to know is the course that you took, and then you can explain it a little bit further. So you can just say Excel for Business, Introduction to HTML and CSS, and just leave it at that. right? And then you can speak to it in the interview. You can speak to it in as you go through the resume, and then be able to answer those STAR method questions when somebody says, hey, tell me about a time when you used Excel. Tell me about a time where you've used HTML and CSS to do whatever it is that you need to do. And you can say, well, by the way, I did take a class at City College of San Francisco, and I learned in my intro to HTML and CSS class to do the following things, and I've applied it in this way at my law firms and all of that stuff and all of that kind of things. All right, so so I would also finally put your community involvement at the very bottom. So this actually belongs around right here, because it is not necessarily related to your work. But if you want to stick it into something that's actually a little bit more prevalent, you can also say involved community leader with interests in, what are we talking about here? With interest in the plus size fashion industry, and workers' rights. And then, plus add your results here, right? And so actually, I think the other piece that you need to put out here, since I just read this, is you founded a Bay Area group with 550 members and 75 active members via an online platform. Again, I hate to say this, but you're selling yourself short here, because I didn't have to actually scroll down halfway into this entire resume and even to the end to know that not only are you a service-driven professional, and not only are you a professional who can wear multiple hats, but you're an entrepreneur too. And so you need to be able to share this somewhere. And this actually probably doesn't belong underneath your community involvement. This belongs somewhere near your employment history for your jobs that you've done as relevant experience and your jobs as other experience. So if anything, this needs to be moved up somewhere, and this also needs to be mentioned around here somewhere. So with interest in workers' rights, plus the results that you have, and then you can also say founded a plus size social community serving 550 plus people, driving the results that you want to go ahead and put here. So the other thing that a lot of people want when it comes to hiring project managers and hiring people is they want to know how entrepreneurial they are. And so we need to actually pull out the fact from your resume that you are entrepreneurially minded, because otherwise I would not have noticed if I had scrolled down like 2/3 of the way down to finally realize that that's what you did too. And so this is going to make you a very interesting and a very compelling candidate. And to answer your questions, Diana, a resume honestly is as many pages as you need it to be. It can be up to, say, like, I don't know, three or four pages or whatever it is that you need to do. So Janet, connect with Diana, connect with Yesenia, and make sure that you rewrite your resume too, so that when you get out into the world, people don't see you as somebody with just straight up work experience in 4 different areas, but they're telling a story around your career highlights, your technical skills, and what it is and the education investments that you put in there, and then the community involvement that you put yourself into there too. So this is actually a resume with a ton of potential. You just need to be able to bring it up to the top and to really sit in your amazingness and sit in what makes you special, and so that you can get the job that you totally and absolutely deserve. Diana, how do employers see leading a Facebook social group? They see it as they're fine with it. I think it's not necessarily the medium as which you lead it, but rather the medium that you are leading in the first place. And so, yeah, I hope you connect with some people in this group, and I think you're going to have a fantastic time as far as what your resume showcases these days. All right, so I think I spent something like 30 minutes on that resume. It's a very, very good resume. And so I'm actually gonna go next here into the PDFs that we have available. And I think I might have some additional resumes. Ada and Aiko, are you on this call right now? I think you had sent me your resumes, but I just wanted to make sure that you needed me to look at your resume again, or if you were fine with the approvals that I put on, since I know I saw you had just joined. All right, so the next resume I'm going to look at are PDFs, and I'm going to try and put some comments in here too, because I want to be able to also give the level of care and support that that these other resumes have been able to see. So excuse me, I'm going to have to go ahead and make sure that the contact information isn't here. So hold on. All right, cool. So, all right. All right. So, since I have all these resumes, I'm gonna start from Josh Chenard. Josh, you are here. I was about to ask. Aiko, did you want me to look at your resume again, or did you want me to give this resume to other people? Let me know, and then I'm going to start with Josh's resume now. So Josh is a sales manager, and he's done account executive work for the last couple of years, field marketing, a couple of projects, and then core skills. All right, so Josh, you're going to hear this for the first time, and I'm going to say it for the 15th time, that all resumes that should come need to come in the form of a story. And so when I look at your resume, I see your contact information first, but what unfortunately happens to me is that I see that you have two columns. And so for my eyes, while the resume looks nice from a design perspective, it is super, super confusing because I don't know which areas to focus on. So you remember in the last resume that I was looking at, right? We started to write the story down. And I'm actually not sure if I can go ahead and export this as Microsoft Word. I might just start doing that at this point because I want to be able to write these resumes and make sure that that they can come out looking the right way, because I've edited the heck out of everybody else's. So I'm actually going to go ahead and convert these resumes while I speak. So hold on for a moment. I am going to, because I want to be able to give the amount of care and space that I've given to everyone else when it comes to these resumes. So I want to go ahead and upload these resumes so that they make sense in the way that's going to come out in Word. So I hope you guys don't mind a little bit of a delay. And so please stay patient for a really quick moment. All right, so let's see. I'm waiting for resumes to come through, and I will see what I have here. All right, so Josh, I have your resume now. I'm actually going to go ahead and stop sharing this really quickly, and I'm going to go ahead and download it. All right, so this is going to look a little wonkier because this is not in the original format that you had it in, but I know you don't mind, so I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there. All right, so let's see, where do we begin? Right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. All right, so the first challenge that we have with this resume in particular is that it's two columns. As it is two columns, it takes away from the storytelling aspect that one wants to share, and it also takes away from the order of which you show up into the market, right? So I'm actually going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I'm actually going to share my entire screen because I think it's time that we rewrite this resume side by side, really, I think from a very like casual perspective. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what your resume should ideally look like. And tell that story that you want to tell so that as that sales manager, you're able to stand out and stand out well, right? So we're going to go ahead and start here with the simple stuff. So you have your name, and then you have your contact information. And I'm going to keep your contact information is in black up there. And so I noticed from your resume that you've been a field marketing lead since 2015. Actually, Kaya, yeah, if you can send me your resume in Word, that would be great. I've already converted it, but I want to just, if it's better in Word, it's something that I can go ahead and tear apart on screen and rewrite as I've done the last couple of resumes. So first of all, the first thing that I see when I come to your resume, Josh, is I notice your education. And so you graduated from Chapman University, the class of 2014, but you've been working for the last 6 years. If I'm a Chapman graduate, I totally understand that you that you went to school, maybe perhaps at the same school that I did. I can talk about the movie Accepted. I can talk about the film department. I can talk about how cool it was to go to Bruxy and Orange and hang out on International Circle. But I'm really here today to talk to you about sales. And I'm here to talk to you today about why you would make a great salesperson for my company. So I'm going to actually go ahead and take your education piece, and I'm going to go ahead and send it here to the very, very bottom. So this is going to be seen a little bit later because it's going to be trumped by your work experience. So in the meantime, because you are a salesperson, it is absolutely important and imperative for you to tell me what your results are as a salesperson. Because if I hire you today, I want to know that my business is alive next quarter. You're the one that's going to bring in the money, bring in the customers so that I can invest more in marketing, invest more in administrative staff, expand the business, maybe rent more buildings so I can do a lot better. And so the first part that I need to see here is your career highlights, right? So what is it that you have done in your career highlights over time, right? You have shown that you're able to build a non-existent client base from 0 to 200 grand within a year. You're able to be a sole Fortune 500 sole executive working with Fortune 500 companies. You're able to increase beverage sales 9% year over year and squeeze products 16% year over year. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know if those are good numbers or not. Usually, I guess if increasing beverage sales 9% year over year tells me that you were able to increase your quota, then that's fantastic. But 9% at the end of the day is a very, very low number. If you'll allow me a sports analogy, right? If you make 9% of your shots, if you hit the ball 9% of the time, if you win 9% of your games, you're definitely not going to last in that league for very long, and you're definitely not going to be a manager of that sport for very long. And so you're going to want to be able to explain what 9 and 16% and going from 0 to 200 grand a year actually means, because the larger sales guys might be looking at what it is that you're doing and be like, well, I sneeze 200 grand a week. So what does that actually mean at the end of the day in context of what you're looking for? And so that's what you're going to explain in your highlights section, right? And so you're going to say proven sales sales professional with the capable proven sales professional that interfaces with Fortune 500 clients. And actually, you're going to say a proven entrepreneurial sales professional that builds books of business from scratch to 200K plus per year, with inclusion of Fortune 500 clients. Right, and so that's the first thing you're going to say. And then you might also say cross 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 industry experience, including food and beverage, increased sales 9% year over year, and or an average, because 12.5% year over year, meeting or exceeding 110% of quota, because people want to know whether that actually helps you exceed quota, because they want to know that if you're missing quota, that's probably not a great thing. All right, so that's good. And then maybe a third bullet point here. All right, so now that you're done with that, the next piece you're going to talk about is your core skills, right? And so what are your core skills? Your core skills are largely in the sales and account management aspect and interpersonal skills. In this case, you probably should focus on your technical skills, because you're going to want to have the ability to talk about all the sales tools that you have in there, the productivity tools that you have in there, and then also the languages that you speak, right? So now that it tells me, okay, you're able to build a book of business from scratch. Hey, Eric, how's it going? Here's how you take your tools out there into the market and how you kick butt, right? And then once you're done with that, you're able to copy out through your work experience, and that tells us more of the story of who you are, right? And so I'm actually gonna kill those lines in between up here, and yeah, and so this is how your resume will kind of look as you go along. And then finally, I noticed you have a piece here called projects and hobbies. And so I don't quite know whether these hobbies are going to be hobbies or going to be projects that may matter for the jobs that you're looking for. However, if you are entrepreneurial and you're looking to get into a new space, or a company is looking for someone to get into a new space, you may be that perfect person for them. So instead of saying projects and hobbies, because people don't generally care about your hobbies until they hire you, we're going to actually go ahead and create a new section for you called other experience. And why do I call this other experience, right? Other experience is meant to really state what it is that you do in addition to your day-to-day sales career, and takes who you are to the next level, because it shows me that you don't just come to work and then you go home and then you go to bed. You come to work, you go home, and you're continuing to think about how to make this world a much better place, right? And so now looking at this resume, I see the story flow a little bit better, because you're telling me your career highlights, your technical skills of how you do what you do, the relevant experience that you've had to get you there, right? As an AE, a territory manager, and as a field marketing team lead, and then stuff that you've done in addition that makes you a qualified person, and then where you went and got your education. And now that I see that, I'm like, okay, instead of your education here being the core focus of what it is that you do for work, you are instead focusing on what it is that you actually do for work, and your education component is what makes you an even better candidate, because you went to a solid university at Chapman, right? And then so the final thing I want to take a look at is how you portray your work experience. And so I'm actually going to get rid of key accomplishments here as I copy and paste them over, because they actually don't necessarily matter as much. Because people know that when you talk about what you did at work, they are already your key accomplishments, right? So what you need to do a little bit more of here is add in the verbs to describe what it is that you've done in the work that you've done. So, you say facilitated, increased, work alongside. So maybe collaborate with marketing executives, right? Is a much stronger verb than work alongside. You went from non-existent client base to generating 200K sales in a year. You were the sole account executive working with FedEx national offices, among several other Fortune 500 companies. You definitely need to name who these Fortune 500 companies are, because people want to know, like, are you able to talk to the big fish? And what do people want to know about that? So I would absolutely encourage you to go through that and make sure that you stand out there too. Create new relationships with major universities in the Pacific Northwest to supply branded merchandise. How much merchandise did you supply? How much were you able to put out there? Facilitated distributor relations with management of large grocery chains, act as a major driver of brand awareness. What kind of brand awareness were you able to drive? How many more people were going into grocery stores because of you with Mama Chia, right? So that's also important to know. And then finally, as the field marketing manager, you were able to coordinate and execute field marketing demos. How many were you doing per day at local businesses? How many local businesses? Events, build brand equity, and form strategic alliance with similar lifestyle brands. And so when you form those strategic alliances, were you able to generate even more additional revenue? If I want to hire you, I want to know, like, I can bring in Josh, and Josh is going to do a bang up job, and he's going to help me bring in more brands to help bring those alliances. But how much revenue are those alliances going to bring me? All right, so that's it for this one. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing at this moment. If you have any thoughts or questions, please include them. I'm going to go ahead and actually look for the very next resume to edit and see what I have here. Okay, so next person, Kaya, I'm going to go to you next since you had your resume here. And I'm going to take a quick look and actually wipe clean. Okay, you have your contact info out, and so we can go from there. So Josh, yeah, in the meantime, what do you think of what I said? Am I right? Am I wrong? I'm always open to being wrong because I don't have all the answers. But if you feel like your experience is something different, please let me know. I'm going to take a sip of water right now. All right, Kaya, let's look at what you are here. So, oh, okay, cool. So you're about to graduate in May of 2020. And let's go ahead and actually highlight that really quick because that's important to note. And so just as a very, very first glance, I've taken 6 seconds and I feel myself feeling a little bit nervous. And I'm a little bit nervous because I don't really know what you do until I look around the middle of the first page. And then it maybe occurs to me that you are, that maybe you are a computer science graduate. And I noticed that, yeah, it's right here to begin with, but the text is so small, it makes it a little bit more difficult to see. Yeah, Lauren, absolutely happy to help. Thank you for sending him over. Yeah, let's get your brother hired and figure out what he needs to do. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's a warm night in quarantine. That is for sure. All right, so I think just a really quick look and overview of this resume. I think it is quite apparent to me that Kaya has definitely done a lot. I also think that, like the other resumes that we've seen before, she needs to be able to share with us what it is that her career intentions are, right? So we're going to go ahead and start tracking here. And so there might be something here that we have around educational highlights. And these educational highlights can probably be pulled out from a bunch of different areas. And so what can we pull these out of, right? Number one, she's a hackathon co-organizer and a web designer, right? Hackathons are the hottest thing since sliced bread. And so it's really good that she's able to put this on and showcase that. So a team of 6 students to plan an annual hackathon. Oop, let me see here. I think I might have clicked the wrong thing. And organized sponsors outreach. That's a really good one. Workshops and catering, worked on event setup, time management and problem solving on event day, currently building the 2020 iteration website. So the first challenge I have with this whole thing actually is it tells me that you did all of these things, but I have no idea how it actually resulted. Has the hackathon actually happened, or is it something that has not happened yet? Because it suggests to me that you worked on the event setup, the time management, and the problem solving on event day. However, I don't know how many people showed up. I don't know how many sponsors you outreached to. I don't know how many people presented, and maybe what you even gave away at this hackathon. So that's the first piece. The second piece is your computational linguistics research. You are participating in a research with professor investigating computational models of prosody using Pratt. Okay, all right. I would say if you're in the industry, maybe you should indicate the professor that you're investigating it with. And why is models of prosody using Pratt really, really important? As a person who works in marketing and reading this, and perhaps maybe wanting to hire you, I have no idea what you just said there. Finally, you have data structures and algorithms tutor. All right, so you provided one-on-one tutoring for data structures and algorithms course upon recommendation from professor. Cool. Okay, that's awesome. So, so we can already pull out some highlights here, your hackathon and your computational linguistics research work that you're doing with your professor. Now, what are you doing for your experience? So you were at YE Ventures as a software engineering intern. You loaded a database for a genetic recommendation engine. You used a web crawler to extract skincare data from websites. How many websites? Yeah, you wrote it in JavaScript, Cypher, and Node.js code to process and load product data with recommendation data, rule data into a graph database. You built a search UI for skincare product catalog. Nice. And then you communicated progress to the client in bi-monthly meetings. I actually am going to get rid of this line because communication is par for the course when it comes to any project that you're working on. So I hope you don't mind. I'm going to go ahead and take that out if my website will allow for it. Okay, cool. All right, so the second piece, clearly innovative Inc. You are an UI UX programming intern. You created and facilitated a 3-hour impact-oriented UI design workshop for underrepresented middle school students. I think you and Janet should get together. There's a lot of good stuff here. You led students through a design process to conduct user research and produce application prototypes for healthy eating using Adobe XD. And then at another place, you developed a prototype, the product database. You were able to do some social entrepreneurship, and then you were a high school intern. So I would actually, unless this high school internship was incredibly significant and you were able to show results because you were able to just complete this series, I would actually get rid of it since you're now looking for a real world job. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this. And your resume is actually might end up actually at 1 page, but we'll see. Leadership and interests. So I would say that that these things actually should go under your education and into your skills section. So you might want to actually do something like this, right? Because it shows that you're a leader and that you're doing a lot of really cool stuff. Let me actually delete that other line. And you're conversational in Mandarin. That is actually pretty amazing. Okay, so what do we have here, right? Your technical skills are already down here, which is actually really great. This is how you make the magic happen. Your education is up here, showing that you majored in computer science and you minored in web design and you were on a full scholarship. And by the way, this may not necessarily be as relevant as you go out into the real world. I definitely take your hats off. I definitely take my hat off to you, as college is super, super expensive these days. So rock that full scholarship and talk about it until the cows come home. So first, let's talk about your, I guess, education and career highlights so far up to this point, right? You have number one, facilitated, you would say a rising computer science and web design graduates with experience building XYZ technologies with ABC frameworks, right? So those frameworks are going to be indicated from what you wrote down below, especially since you told me how you built them. And also because you are a developer and a software engineer, I'm hoping that at some point you also include a GitHub link somewhere. And you could also just say GitHub insert link here. So I would go with that. Then I would also say universe, and then also under this I may say something like key projects include search UI for skincare product. What else were you able to do here? Yeah, you were developing a database. So it seems like, I feel like the job that you ought to be going into is like Sephora or something, and etc. All the other tools that you've been able to build. You may also want to stay campus leader, organizing hackathons, bringing in HIJ or IJK number of people, some kind of dollar amount of sponsorship, and indicate how much awareness you were able to drive. And so I would also say that in the education and career highlights piece, as a rising computer science and web design graduate, what kind of field do you want to work in, right? The world is going to be your oyster. The world is going to be something that lies right in front of you, right? So social impact, right? So rising computer science graduate, interested in social impact, civic technology, with experience building the following technologies with the following kinds of frameworks, right? And then you may indicate somewhere down here, I think in addition, that you have that social entrepreneurship background, right? So everything about your resume is going to tell me what it is that you're capable of doing. And finally, I should also state under your technical skills, languages, right? So what languages that you speak. Foreign languages, I should actually add. So let's see, right? So there's your foreign languages piece, and then we're able to go ahead and delete this. And all of the sudden, you have what I think looks like a one-page resume. All right, and so with regards to this, I would also want to state that you are that your campus involvement is something that that you may also want to put underneath your education section, since these are all of the things that you've done on campus and have done over the last couple of years. And so I would put hackathon, and I might say something like 200 plus attendees, with, let's just say $300,000 of sponsorship, and responsible for end-to-end experience. And you may say something like May 2019 to present, right? So that gets people the idea of knowing what it is that you're capable of doing, right? And so forth. You may also have computational linguistics researcher with Professor so-and-so, right? And then talk about the research topic here in one brief line if you can. And then finally, you may also put underneath your experience that you were a data structures and algorithm tutor, because it shows that you're willing to learn and teach other people what it is that you have learned. So you may call this other experience if you must. So here we go. Let's do this. And here you are. And so let's see how this tells your story so far. Your name is Kaya, and you are a rising computer science and web design graduate, interested in social impact and civic technology, building with these specific technologies and frameworks. You can access your GitHub here. Your key projects include these areas, and you're a campus leader doing the following things. You got your education at Simmons University, where you were a computer science graduate on a full scholarship, and you're going to graduate this month, so congratulations. And while you were on campus, you were the co-founder of a multiracial advocacy and relations group. You ran a hackathon or several hackathons, and you were a computational linguistics researcher. You bring into your field work these following technical skills that you've used to build these technologies. And with these technologies, you've worked at these 4 different places, and you were able to build those following things. And you were able to also get additional experience by teaching other people along the way. So let me know if this makes sense. Let me know how it sounds, and we can definitely throw it back and forth for a little bit here. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing and get myself a little bit more water to drink. And in the meantime, I'm gonna actually take a look at some of the other resumes that I have right now. So let's see. Allison, your resume is actually coming up next. So I went ahead and saw your resume here, and I am going to take that look. Allison, are you actually still here? I want to know that you're still here. So I know that you've been very patient. Tonight's resume has actually gone a little bit longer than I imagined it to be, because it's actually been a lot of fun being able to showcase and share what it is that we're doing at the end of the day. All right, so let's see, where are you? Screen share. Our next resume comes from Alison Rodriguez. Alison Rodriguez is a detail-oriented, self-motivated account manager with a history of helping clients adopt Yelp restaurants and their SaaS products and business needs, tailored to their business, also proficient in writing and reading in Spanish. I feel like we've had several folks who speak Spanish tonight and are interested in helping others from a sales and from a social justice perspective. So I'm actually really liking this a lot. And thank you, Julie. Thank you so much for coming. You know, I know we have a lot of people on here, and this actually goes for a while. So I'm trying to be as efficient and meaningful as I possibly can. All right, so let's take a look at Allison really quickly. So she's an account manager, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and highlight that. And she's works on Yelp's SaaS product. And so what has she been able to do, right? She was awarded top performer in Q1 for having 90% of customers onboarded within 30 days and having a 33% churn rate. She's exceeded quota by 144% through taking direction and feedback from upper management. She's achieved the Top Hustler Award and recognized for the consistency in output and revenue. And what else has she done? Wow, okay, so she's definitely in the food space. I like this a lot. Oh, wow, and she was a Pac-12 All-Academic Honorable Mention, so it's likely you might have seen her in the NCAA tournament. She's awarded Rookie in the Year in 2011 by teammates and coaches. And wow, and she was able to balance her academic work by doing the film, meetings, travel, and competitions while managing full-time academics and actually being able to go out and study abroad, which is actually really, really amazing. All right, so let's see here. Since this resume did come from a PDF alteration, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can make some quick modifications here. This is not your fault, Allison. I just want to make sure of that. All right, so and then there we go. All right, cool. You were hand selected to join and help and scale the account development specialist team. You qualified a high volume of inbound leads of potential customers, and you prevented churn. What else? You were the recipient of the coveted Iron Will Award for having the highest activation rate of 77.2%. You managed a pipeline of 180 businesses using a Salesforce database. And you produced a high volume of outbound calls daily and talk time to restaurants. Okay, so we have a badass salesperson here, and I absolutely love it. And the first challenge that we have here, of course, is the fact that again, like a lot of folks who come on these calls, is you're definitely selling yourself short. You're an amazing salesperson. You're able to create a lot of different results, but I have to scroll through the resume in order to get to those results. And that's the part that will break any single salesperson or sales executive's heart. So what is it that we're going to do to get you more noticed? We're going to go ahead and create a section around your professional highlights. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and copy through all of those amazing professional highlights that you've been able to do, right? So you're a proven sales and account executive professional who consistently exceeds quota, accelerates customer onboarding, and manages high volume pipelines, right? And so average quota is a specific percentage that you're able to hit. What else do we want to say here? Average onboarding, XXX number of days, right? So what does that tell me? That tells me that first and foremost, you are absolutely amazing and really great at being able to do the very baseline sales stuff. Recognized by corporate multiple times with awards. Top performer. And so you want to say quarter number something, fiscal year something something, etc. And you want to put your awards there. And then what else? Yeah, that's actually pretty good from the first start because you are a salesperson. They are looking specifically for your results, and they want to make sure that the results that you're able to hit are the ones that they want to get. Next piece I want to talk about is your skills, right? So while you're a salesperson, you're going to be on the phone a lot. And so what sales tools do you know? And what marketing tools do you know? And so this part is pretty simple. After this, I think you're actually really good when it comes to when it comes to stating your experience. However, I would say my continued challenge here is that you definitely showcase what it is that you're able to do, but there's a lot of numbers that are still in a lot of ways missing, right? So you manage the client onboarding experience, ensuring that their revenue and operation goals were fully met. And so number one, right, is how many of these experiences did you onboard? You reviewed technical software questions with strategic partners by providing in-person assistance. Were you able to showcase some kind of satisfaction score for the assistance that you were able to provide? You were awarded top performer in Q1 for having 90% of customers onboarded. That's a good one. As a junior, and by the way, I think in addition to this, since all of your experience so far has been at Yelp, you may want to just have a whole entire part that just says Yelp Inc. And under that, you have something that says San Francisco, California. paste this however many times I need. And you're going to say that you've been there from September of 2016 to present. And then from there on out, you're going to go ahead and you can actually get rid of these individual lines because it's going to showcase that you're able to stay at this company for a little while. And we're going to add in a couple of more lines here and have those spaces apart so that it shows that you've been there from the beginning and that you've been able to do what you've been able to do. Now that we have that there, under junior account executive, it says adjusted to learn and sell 2 new SaaS products to restaurants. Is that something that you were doing from November of 2018 to May of 2019? Were you doing this that entire time, or was there more to it? You conducted live demonstrations with owners, general managers, marketing teams of the 2 products and tailored the best solution to those customer needs. So how many of those live demonstrations did you actually conduct? Balance between responding to inquiries through email, scheduling appointments, follow-ups while keeping a balanced pipeline. I would actually focus on the balanced pipeline piece because for the most part, keeping between responding to all of these different areas here is something that I would say something that your employer would expect you to do. So again, right, with a lot of these resumes, it is important that you are able to focus on the stuff that you need to do versus the obvious things that every salesperson does from the very beginning. Exceeded quota by 144% through taking direction and feedback from upper management and doing the little things daily. Okay, so I don't know about this line because yes, it tells me that you are doing what you're supposed to do at work, but I would ask you to explain what it is that you did to actually exceed that level of quota. What were you doing? You achieved the Top Hustler Award and you were recognized for your consistency in output and revenue. And you consulted restaurants to craft effective email and SMS marketing content to increase customer loyalty. I'm curious here to see if you have any data and stats around what your impact was to showcase that you were able to increase that marketing loyalty over time. You were hand-selected to join and scale the account development specialist team. You qualified a high volume of inbound leads. So how many of those inbound leads were you able to qualify of potential customers and educated them on the importance of online ordering? You prevented churn with an existing database by communicating with them to express their concerns. How many people did you speak to, and how much of this were you actually able to go ahead and decrease by? Right. So that's a continuing stat that'll be important to note. Finally, you were the recipient of the coveted Iron Will Award for the highest activation rate. You managed a pipeline of 180 plus businesses on a Salesforce database and drive a full sales cycle, and you produced a high volume. Finally, you went to the University of Oregon. You had a Bachelor of Science in Spanish and a minor in business. I would actually get rid of UO, mostly because I don't think I see people use UO as University of Oregon. And then I would actually, because you graduated a long time ago, your GPAs not necessarily need to be there. You do mention already below that you were a scholar athlete, so I'm actually going to get rid of that. And actually, I think I will bring the UO back here because you do mention it the second time. And then you were a honor association member and a national association for athletes. So I would actually put that all on one line because it qualifies you with your academic background. Let's see. Yeah, you did also go abroad. And because you did go abroad a while ago and this was during college, I would actually get rid of this as well because you're not necessarily looking for an international sales role. If you are, I would keep it here, but overall, I would just go ahead and get rid of it. And so, yeah, overall, this is a pretty solid resume from a sales perspective. There are some little things that I would look at this that would motivate me to say, okay, she does follow directions and she's very explicit in how she explains it. But, we would go a little bit further from there. All right, so that is Allison's resume. Good job, Allison. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for a moment. And I know that we're now about an hour and a half into this. This is probably the longest resume edit resume workshop that I've ever done. So thank you for staying on from beginning to end for all of those of you who have done it so far. If you sent me your resume already, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to see it today because it's going to leave me here on Facebook Live for 2 whole hours. So come back in a couple of weeks. We'll be back here on the 23rd. Send me your resume for then, and we can go ahead and review those then. I'm going to go ahead and create that event. And so, yeah, join us for some upcoming events. Coming on Monday in our Southern California group, I'm doing another one of these resume reviews. On Tuesday, I have a conversation with John Beck of Ursus. He continues to hire and he continues to bring in new employees during this uncertain time. And then on Wednesday, we're doing another mock interview. So be sure to join us for that. And if you watched all the way this far, thank you again so much for doing so. I appreciate your time. I know that you all have a lot of things you could be doing on a Saturday night, including watching Netflix and much, much more. And so I'm grateful that you decided to devote some of your time to a resume video in this community. And so I will see you guys again in 3 weeks. This video will remain up. I will be uploading it to YouTube with all of your names redacted where possible. And we can go from there. And you can always reach out to me with more questions. My email is on this. And so until the future, until Monday, stay safe, stay healthy, and remember, we're all going to get through this, and we're all going to get through this well. I'll see you guys soon, and good night.